The New York Jets, in a shocking decision today, fire head coach Robert Saleh. I'm Ryan Sampson. This is the Gang's All Here, our emergency show. We had to get on live and get a reaction here. This is shocking news to say the least. The Jets fire their head coach in season. Woody Johnson pulls the trigger. And in a whirlwind of news, we just get this bombshell that Saleh's out. He's gone. And Jeff Ulbrich is now the head coach of the New York Jets. In a shocking turn of events, Robert Saleh, who had gone 20-36 in his 4+ seasons with the New York Jets as head coach, they decide to let him go. This is an absolutely shocking decision from the Jets. I did not think they were ever going to make this move. This was something I think that Jets fans were asking for and wondering if it was going to happen just because of the way the team had played as of recent. And you saw it the last two games against teams. Well, let's be frank. The Broncos game was the big one right there where they should have won, held to 9 points, and they didn't score a touchdown. And Salah, you started to wonder, like, when is this team going to finally turn the worm? This is one of the most talented Jets teams they had put together, but the scheme and being out coached and the way they had played week in and week out, starting slow in games, the Jets just weren't playing good football. And clearly Woody Johnson heard the noise and he makes this move. I mean, this is going to send shockwaves throughout all the entire NFL. It already has, but this is crazy. This is crazy. The Jets fire their head coach, Robert Saleh. We want to thank everyone that's coming in to watch and join the show right now, because this is just something that we're going to continue to stay here and get live reaction from multiple reporters as they come on in, and we'll talk to some guys and see what they're saying about this move. We'll hopefully get Frankie here in a little bit, but this is just absolutely crazy. The Jets fire their head coach, Robert Saleh. You wondered about if maybe the offense, the struggles with Hackett and Aaron Rodgers, if this had anything to do with that, considering Robert said he was going to take more of a role in the offense this offseason. We heard the rumors about Salah looking in at Arthur Smith and possibly bringing him on to help Nathaniel Hackett in this offense, the way it struggled. But you're talking about, I mean, I'm just still shocked as a Jets fan seeing this, but he went through 6 different starting quarterbacks, Robert Saleh, in his time with the Jets. He had 33 games with Zach Wilson, 7 games with Mike White, 6 with Aaron Rodgers now, 5 with Joe Flacco, 3 with Trevor Siemian, 2 with Tim Boyle. It's just been an absolute dysfunctional mess with the way the Jets have had to go about. I don't know, man. Like, we're only 5 weeks into the season. We're going into week 6, an all-important Monday night football game against the Buffalo Bills. And this is the decision they decide to go with. It's crazy that they're doing this. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be this soon. I know it's been ugly. I know that Jets fans have been calling for his job for a while now. George, I know, man. What they did will only make this worse. I don't know how to react right now, man. I'm still trying to process the information right now, that the fact that Woody Johnson was willing to pull the trigger this quickly, 5 weeks into the season, an all-important, all-in season, right, to win. And I just, for me, as a Jets fan, I hope this sparks the team a little bit. You get concerned, though, when you see something like a Quincy Williams speak after the game. When he goes and says the team needs to be held accountable, and I'm tired of saying the same bleep, the team needs to be held accountable from top to bottom. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe the writing was on the wall there when your player says that, and you need more accountability as a team. Man, this is just, I don't know. Yeah, you know what, George? I kind of agree again. Is the owner listening to the fan base to fire Salah? I don't know, man. It's crazy. All right, we're going to bring on our Jets beat writer, Brian Costello, because this is the shocking news. We're live. We're on the New York Post Sports YouTube, Twitter, and X pages right now. Kaz, 1, how you doing? And 2, oh my goodness, can you believe the Jets pulled the trigger and fire a coach in season in Robert Saleh?
Yeah, no, I'm surprised, Ryan. I thought there was a chance if they kept losing the next few weeks, it would happen, but I didn't expect it after Sunday.
No, I didn't either. Saleh 20-36 is his record, as a Jets head coach. It didn't look great. I know this is the first time we're speaking since Sunday's game against the Vikings. Down 17-0 early in that game. They had a chance in that final drive. Rodgers throws that third interception. There was, I think, a lot of fan chatter about, like what's going on with the coaching staff, Robert Saleh. This team starts slow again, because when you're looking at this from a bird's eye view right now and your initial reaction, I mean, why pull the trigger now, 5 weeks into the season?
Because Woody Johnson looks at Twitter, he does, and his son does, and tells him what's said, and Woody acts like a fan, and that's part of the problem with this franchise. So I think it's way overreaction. They 9 days ago they were 2-1 and everyone was flying high for the Patriots, and now you're firing the coach. Like, I don't know, unless it was something that happened behind the scenes that we don't know about, or Rodgers went to him, who knows? But if this is just what it is on the face, that they just decided to fire him after they lost a game by 1 point last week and a game by 6 points this week to, Broncos defense looks like it could be one of the best in the NFL. The Vikings are 5-0. So I didn't think the Broncos loss was terrible,
right,
the way it went. But I thought Sunday's loss was a pretty standard loss, to a good team. So I don't get it. I don't really think this is going to change things. This isn't going to make Aaron Rodgers not throw interceptions or going to make the run games get going. I don't see what this is going to accomplish.
I don't know either, cause to be honest with you, and it wasn't just Salah, right? Like, a lot of people were wondering, like, is it Hackett, right? Like, the offense isn't working right now. The offense gets off to slow starts. The defense, but understood it was Jeff Ulbrich, who is now, by the way, the new Jets head coach for Monday Night's Football game. Salah is a defensive head coach, but the offense was starting off slow again, and they got off to these slow starts. It's Hackett and the offense that a lot of fans were clamoring at, but it was Salah too, because the way there was just seemed to be no accountability, and that's what the Quincy Williams, I think the quotes we heard after the game against the Vikings, that was the most shocking to me, when one of your best linebackers, one of your best defenders comes out in the post game and says, we need more accountability head to toe. Cause I don't know, man. I don't understand this at this point. 2-3, you're one game out of first place, and you just decide to pull the trigger on it now.
Yeah, I think it's, probably Woody overreacting. I'm sure, he didn't like losing in London, where he was the ambassador and he's got lots of friends and lots of important people. I'm sure that did not sit well with him. And, there's a lot of fans who were screaming fire Salah. And I think Woody acts like a fan. So I think Woody, if you guys own the franchise, you'd overreact to things. And I think that's what Woody's doing here. But it's amazing when you think, Gase was 0-13 and fire him, and Kotite back in the day, as before Woody, but he wasn't fired. But, Todd Bowles was a dead man walking in his last season. We all knew he was going to be fired, and he lasted the whole season. So pretty crazy, 5 games into the season to do this, but we'll see. We'll see if it works.
This is you're all in, right? You're all in on this season. You put all this effort in, all these talent and team. And Kaz, can I just ask you this? Besides just Robert Saleh, is that all we hearing right now? Is it just Saleh?
Yeah, that's all I've heard. Yeah.
Wow. Only Saleh.
Well, we're not going to fire Nate Hackett. I mean,
well, Rodgers, I just didn't know if
Rodgers would leave.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that Aaron Rodgers had anything to do with this, or is it just purely a Woody call right here?
I don't know. I can't answer that, Ryan. It would be unfair to Aaron to speculate on that. I would hope that they would have probably run it by him, at the very least. Like, he's an important part of the organization, clearly. So I'm not sure, I would hope that they would at least have run it by him and got his opinion, but I don't know.
Kaz, for you and the time you've covering Robert Saleh, and also your time is covering the Jets, Woody's never done this in season before. To your point, he didn't do it during the Adam Gase era. Rich Kotite was before his time. But I don't know, man. Like, this to your point, this is that moment where it's like the owner is legitimately listening to the fans, the loudest. It might not be the majority, but it's a loud part of the group of fans that wanted Robert Saleh fired. Part of me is like, I get when you hear the players like Quincy Williams saying they need more accountability. Rodgers talked about it.
I also don't think we can read into Quincy, Ryan, to be fair. Like,
okay,
we have no idea who Quincy Williams is talking about. He could be talking about Aaron Rodgers. He could be talking about Nate Hackett. He could be talking about the offensive line. He could be talking about somebody who said something post game that we don't know. He could be talking about Robert Saleh. We don't, but I don't think it's fair to go, oh, Quincy Williams said this. We know what he means.
Right.
Like, we don't
So
know. There was no follow-up question that I saw. I'm not criticizing Janae. She's in the moment, but I planned on seeking Quincy out this week and saying, hey, who are you talking about?
yeah. So I think the reason why I bring that up too is because you hear the same thing with Rodgers the previous week, and I know there's context involved here, right? Because it was about the snap count and the cadence stuff. But when you hear again that word accountability 2 weeks in a row, that's kind of an indictment on the coach itself, is it not?
I wouldn't draw the two together because I mean, the Rodgers thing was posed to him as dialing back the cadence, which was never said. So I think he was saying, well, how about we hold people accountable? I think Robert Saleh held people accountable. I don't think that was a problem. I think everyone was held accountable. You might not like the way he went about it. He may not have been as stern as people thought, but I don't think that was an issue. No, they didn't go off sides this week.
No, they didn't. They didn't have any problems with the cadence this week, right?
Yeah.
So, Kaz, ultimately for you, I know it's going to take a while to process this as we get through the days. Do you even think this is going to be the right move here? Or is there more to this team that's just an issues all around? It doesn't feel like, for me, firing Robert Saleh is the answer because I don't know if Jeff Ulbricht's going to get more out of that offense, if he's going to fix the problems that the offense is having right now.
Look, I covered baseball for a long time, Ryan, before I covered football. And when you switch managers mid-season, it sometimes like sparks a team because like they might be tired of the voice of the guy, or they might, whatever. It has an effect. You can turn a baseball season around with a move at midseason. I don't see it as much with football. Football is a thing where, they start putting in their systems in April and they have all these spring practices. They have all these training camp practices where you're building this foundation for the season. You can't do that now. You can't just change everything now. Like I've seen people, change the offense. You can't change the offense now. The offense is what it is. You can tweak it, but you can't change it. So I don't know if this is going to have some great effect. Like, look, I still think the Jets team has the potential to go 10-7 this season. Like I did at the beginning of the year, they're 2-3. I don't think 8-4 is out of the question here down the stretch. Now, is that going to be viewed as Jeff Ulbrich? The change made them go. I guess you could spin it that way, but to me, they're going to do what they were going to do no matter what. I just don't see where the head coach was the main issue here. I think the play calling has been atrocious. And, I think Aaron Rodgers has not played like Aaron Rodgers so far. And, other than the Patriots game and a few drives here and there, he hasn't looked like what we thought he'd look like. So, in the end, the buck stops with the head coach. So you could say the play calling is his problem because he hasn't changed Nate Hackett. I get that argument, but the direct like 1-to-1, correlation, I just don't see as much.
Yeah, you wonder. When the Jets decided to make this all-in move for Aaron Rodgers, they brought in Hackett, Lazard, Cobb. They gave full control of the offense pretty much to Rodgers and Hackett, and Salah relinquished that to them. It's been like a fall from, I wouldn't say grace, but like a fall from the top from Rodgers, from Salah. He's kind of getting his knees cut out for himself. When you think about LaFleur, kind of felt like we're going to fire him because the fans are angry because Zach Wilson wasn't developing, right? That's how that felt, that move, right? So he fires one of his best friends, and his best friend's brother.
He was forced to by Woody Johnson. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that wasn't Robert Saleh's call to fire him. So then they're like, okay, we're going to go all in on Aaron Rodgers now because Zach doesn't seem to be developing, and we'll pivot and we'll let Aaron and Hackett run the offense. And when it doesn't work after you had the foreplay and all the dysfunction last year about texting Joe Beningo and what's this team going to do now that Rodgers is out? All of that was handled probably not in the best situation, but you've said this before. They got 7 wins out of the team last year, playing with the worst quarterback play in the NFL. But then they come into this year, you're 2-3. Yes, you've started every game except the Patriots game. Really, actually, you can even say the Patriots game really slow as a team, and you've gone down early in these games. You can't win many football games like that playing from behind. So that is a big indictment on the coach and how you're preparing your team every single week.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say you can say that. I don't think it's been I don't know. They haven't looked lethargic to me. Like I just think I think the script hasn't been good to start the game offensively. I thought defensively in a few of the games they weren't tackling very well to start. So yeah, I mean, like I'm not painting Salah out to be coach of the year here. I just don't think he got 5 games of Aaron Rodgers. Like that was I think we needed a season of Aaron Rodgers with him as the coach to see what kind of coach he was. I don't know if he'll get a second chance to be a head coach, but I'd be curious to see it if he did. Obviously, a lot of the people who are ripping Salah right now were ripping Todd Bowles when he was the coach here, and Todd's done pretty well in Tampa Bay with a better roster. Salah didn't have a great roster here early on, and then he really didn't have good quarterback play the whole time he was here. So that's tough to win like that.
Cause I want to bring on Brandon London because Brandon's obviously been in the NFL. He's covered a lot. He's covered.
I gotta run soon, Ryan. My phone is.
I got you, Kaz. One last thing for you before I talk to Brandon here. Kaz, do you think this is ultimately the right move, like for the Jets to fire Robert Saleh?
Like I said before, I think this team's going to go 10-7. So it's going to look like the right move because it's going to be, oh my gosh, they went 8-4 after with Ulbrich. But I think they would have done the same thing with Salah. Like I don't think he's the problem with what they're doing right now. I think they're going to be. I thought they were 10-7 team coming into the season. I still think they are. So I don't think this moves the needle at all.
Kaz, we thank you, man, for hopping on with us live here, and we'll be looking forward to your coverage the rest of the week to see how this goes. Brandon, what's going on, man? I just want to get your initial reaction. We're here live on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel, X and Facebook. We just talked to Kaz about this. Man, when he heard the news that Salah gets fired after a 2-3 start to the season, what was your reaction, man?
Well, first and foremost, I wish Kaz could have stayed on because I'm going to tell him I think it does move the needle. You saw Quincy Williams when he was talking to Janae Coakley of SNY after that London loss, and he was talking about people need to be held accountable from the top up. I think that was indirectly saying it's time for this head coach to bounce and to be out. Everyone you speak to when it comes to the Jets fans, covering the Giants for the last years, we've had our own little problems, within the head coaches and all. But every time you talk to a Jets fan, they have been tired of this team coming out looking lethargic, looking unmotivated, and looking undisciplined. That's the biggest part. This team, through Robert Saleh's tenure, has been one of the most undisciplined, highly flagged football teams in the NFL. So owner Woody Johnson trying to save face, trying to save the season, made the move he felt like he had to make because he feels as though there is still talent in that building. Now it's all going to come down to who's going to be the one that can motivate a bunch of grown ass men to go out there and not only do their job, but do their job at a high level, play within the system, play together, and go out and put a way better product of football on the field than what Jets fans have seen in 3 1/4 seasons.
Yeah, I know, Brandon. I think that's the key, right? Like we have to talk about is if you lose the locker room, you've lost the team. You're not a head coach anymore. And I think that's ultimately the biggest question here. While I do agree with Kaz and what he said before, he thinks that Woody Johnson just listened to the fans, overreacted, and ultimately made this decision because this team has started every game sluggish and slow. They've started in deficits, and they've had to come back in a lot of these games. And that falls on the head coach on how you prepare your team to come out right to start a game. And then you got to make those adjustments and you got to be able to scheme. And Rod, let's be honest. If you're Robert Saleh as the head coach, you're a defensive-minded head coach. You didn't touch the offense at all. And that was the part that was struggling the most the last couple of weeks. Yeah. If you don't have much say in that and your defense is still playing well, what are you doing if your team's preparing slow? Yeah. So, and to your point, if you got guys, and that's that word, accountability. If Quincy Williams says accountability, and then Aaron Rodgers says accountability after the Broncos game because of the cadence thing, and he says, I think we need to hold more people accountable. I think that's a big indictment on you as a head coach.
Absolutely.
If your players are saying that word, we need to be held more accountable, that's on you. You got to hold these guys in check. You got to put them in right positions to make plays. And I just don't know if Robert Saleh, while he's a great guy, I think, and probably one of the nicest human beings in the NFL, I just don't know if he's a good head coach.
He's one of those coaches where through the rah-rah and all the motivation. It's like, I'm ready to run through this wall for this coach. Then you run through the wall and then you're like, now what? And it's like he's sitting there like, I don't know. We got through the wall. What else do we do? That's what I would say Robert Saleh's tenure, these last 3 and some plus seasons, have been with the New York Jets. I see a comment right here by Ryan Bold. Did you guys see Aaron Rodgers throws? Guys, open your eyes. Yes, we saw Aaron Rodgers throws. Yes, we saw Aaron Rodgers struggle. But we also, again, have seen year after year, game after game, this team be highly penalized and this team not have any plan outside of the initial run through the wall. That falls on the head coach. And I get people going to say, oh, aren't you the Giants guy? Don't you talk? I am the son of a head football coach. I do not celebrate when coaches get fired because I understand how that dynamic changes for the family. But when you're watching football, you understand. My father, his kids, everyone understands it falls at the head of the snake. So Aaron Rodgers, yeah, he's going to get a stay at execution for a little bit longer because Woody Johnson and those guys think that he can maybe turn this season around. You got nobody else to go to other than, Tyrod Taylor. Maybe he gets his shot. Nathaniel Hackett, should he have been thrown under the bus as well? Absolutely.
That's Rodgers' guy, though. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
You've handed the offense's keys over to Rodgers. And that's where I asked Kaz, and I want to ask you this too, Brandon. Does this feel like a move? I'm not saying Rodgers said, oh, go fire Robert Saleh. But do you think that Woody Johnson is probably calling Aaron and goes, hey, I'm thinking about making this change. What do you think? And if Rodgers goes, yeah, I kind of think we should probably make the move. I kind of think that's what's going on here a little bit, Brandon.
Absolutely. And Woody Johnson has ears and eyes all over the building. So it may not even been Aaron Rodgers who had to say anything. It goes back. Everyone's talking about Devontae Adams. He ain't going to want to come to this dumpster fire. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers is his man's. When we're talking, if these reports are leaking out, CBS reports, Adam Schefter reports, leaking out that the players are unhappy, the players don't feel as though there's people holding the players or the team accountable. There it goes right there. That's telling you right there. So when we talk about Devontae Adams, remember, he and Max Crosby reportedly had dinner with Mark Davis to lobby for Antonio Pierce becoming the head coach over Josh McDaniels because the eyes and ears in the building was telling you, hey, our head coach, great rah-rah guy, but we can't get this thing going. We're still jumping off sides. We're still doing stupid, dumb stuff to where you're taught back in Pop Warner to kind of to be accountable for stupid flags, stupid penalties. That hidden yardage adds up. And yeah, you haven't had the greatest quarterback play over the years, but the defense has been able to keep you in games. But then you throw the penalties in there. You throw, again, finger pointing and all that.
Starts.
You had to go false. You had to pre-snap
penalties and the slow starts though in the game themselves. Like you seem like, for me, Brandon, I am tired of seeing this Jets team, like you said, come out through running through a brick wall, but then you get punched in the mouth. It's like, what do we do? Like, how do we respond? And they always seem to be out schemed. That's my feeling on it. But again, this will not change the offense, mind you. This is not going to change how Hackett and Rodgers are running this offense. That still needs to be addressed and fixed. Yep. So they got to figure that out. Woody Johnson's making this call, though, because he believes in this talent on this team and that they could still make a change now to point them in the right direction. They have a good opportunity here, Brandon, on Monday night. Yep. They're playing the Bills for first place in the AFC East. Like, I understand. I'm still trying to process this. I don't know if this is the right move, but I get part of it also, like, why you're doing this right now, because, hey, it's now or never, guys. Like, this is it. This is the only chance you got right now, and we need to turn this thing around. I don't know, man.
Just put the bullseye on Quincy Williams and the players. Now, you're talking about not being held accountable. Where's the senior leadership? Like we see, in college, where's the senior leadership? My rookie year, yes, a practice squad won the Super Bowl with the Giants. Awesome. Michael Strahan, Amani Toomer, that Giants offensive line. Tom Coughlin didn't have to tell you to be on time. Tom Coughlin didn't have to tell you not to jump off sides or to lock in. You're going to hear it from Plax if you're messing up. You're going to hear it from Justin Tuck, from Jabril Wilson, from Corey Webster, Sam Madison. It's on you, the players now. The top dog, the head of the snake is gone.
Yep.
But now what direction is you going to go? You don't have the eyes and the ears and the scent smell, whatever. I don't know. I watch a lot of National Geographic. But the head of the snake is gone. Quincy Williams, it's on you guys now. Now you got to police the locker room now. If a guy jumps off sides, guy's getting a stupid penalty, which we've seen Quincy Williams get post play penalties before. That's not Robert Saleh. That's you. So now you guys get to control the culture when it comes to going forward. Now the bullseye is on the players now. Nathaniel Hackett, the fan base wants him gone for sure. But now this goes to show Aaron Rodgers, you got the rest of this year to prove to yourself, prove to this fan base that you deserve one more year as QB1 as a Jets quarterback.
It's a great point by you, Brandon. This is it. I mean, this is your chance. I do wonder if they're going to now pull another trick out of their sleeve and be like, oh, by the way, we're trading for Devontae Adams. We're going really all in on this Aaron Rodgers, led team. Man, as a fan, I am nervous now because this is now all the pressure. It was already there, but now it's really it's up to the extreme. I hope Jeff Ulbricht's up for the job. I think he could be. He seems like he has a good head on his shoulders, but again, time will tell. You got 12 more of these opportunities. You've played 5 games. You got 12 more opportunities here to prove that you are a playoff team and legit contender. Again, I don't know if I know for a fact, Robert Saleh firing does not fix this offense. It does not fix what Aaron Rodgers is struggling right now. It does not fix the run game.
To answer Andy Hunn's comment right there, he said we need to think because the Jets got all the talent. Breece Hall has been sucking. Garrett Wilson. Yes, players haven't been playing up to their expectations, up to their hype, and there's no excuses. 0 excuses for a fumble, 0 excuses for not getting in the end zone. But a lot of that trickles down, man. A lot of that when you have dysfunction. I just remember going from the Giants to the Miami Dolphins, and I'm like, This ain't a well-oiled machine like Tom Coughlin and Jerry Reese had it up in East Rutherford. So that kind of trickles down to anything. Again, at the end of the day, you want to be great. You better hold on to that football. You better get in the end zone. But at the end of the day, there's your leader. And if you don't believe in your leader, you're not going to the Napoleon burn the boats because we're going to take over this land. You're not going to have that. You're not going to play inspired. Fans need to understand half these dudes don't even like football. They don't even like the grind of football. You just making $12 million to catch a football. So, I'm going to wake up and work out and do those things. But as a head coach, you are a fisher of men. You have to still get a guy who he's making more money than you. You have to still get him to run through the wall and then know what to do after you run through the wall. Tom Coughlin used to say, know and know you know. And that's what you've been missing from seeing from this team over the years, man. Over the years.
I think this only amplifies the pressure on Rodgers and Hackett even more too, because the defense is still balling out. Like they held the Vikings in check on Sunday. They held the Broncos to 1 touchdown. It's on you guys now as an offense to figure this thing out. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to get Breece involved. You got to get him more effective. Braylon Allen, Garrett Wilson, all of these guys. You have to figure this out. Now this move says from Woody Johnson, figure it out. It's no longer on Robert Saleh. We're going to go to Jeff Ulbrich. He's going to do his thing on the defensive side. He's going to allow you guys to continue to do what you're doing offensively, but we need to figure this out because this is an all-in move. Brandon, I'm telling you, man, like this Jets franchise never, ever, ever let you sit on your heels. They're always going to keep you on your toes with this stuff, man.
Man, you guys got your own little reality show going on. I thought, I thought it was never a dull day in Giant Land, but hey, I wonder if they're going to pull an Indianapolis coach and hire Bart Scott off TV so he can kind of go in and be a manager, so Jeff Ulbrich can run the defense and then Nathaniel Hackett kind of run the offense and you just have someone kind of oversee. I don't think that would be the move, just kind of, making light of the situation and all. But if you're pulling this move now pulls Jeff Ulbrich away from coordinator duties.
Yes.
It's a lot. It is a lot to be a head coach. It is a lot. it's like a McDonald's managers. You got to manage who's on the fries, who's flipping the burgers, is the lobby clean, is the drive-through operation.
Right. Like his sole responsibility was, how am I going to stop Patrick Mahomes from throwing 3 touchdowns against us this week? Now I got to see, we need to challenge that play. We should have called a timeout there. This is the opportunity for us to go for it on 4th down. I should be making sure we go for 2 here instead of kicking the extra point. Like, these are decisions that you have to constantly be on top of now, on top of making sure that the opposing offenses, you held them in check defensively.
On top of that, Breece Hall is nicked up. Got to talk to the trainers. How much can he play? Is he going to be out? This time management. Now I got to do the Jeff Ulbrich show and call in the radio and take the heat, take the questions. It's a lot, man. But hey, you sign up to it. We know crocodile tears for anybody. You sign up for it, and this is what you want to do. But at the end of the day, I think Jeff Ulbrich kind of has his hands tied with who his coordinator is. Aaron Rodgers, all the hype. He was been looked at as the savior, calling him Broadway Joe. He and Sauce Gardner got the handshake. Everything's been looking cool, cute, and pretty. But now it's all hit the fan. All this is going to be on Aaron Rodgers. This is what your legacy is going to be known for. We're not even thinking about 2-time league MVP, Super Bowl champ. It's all coming down to your last 12 games as a Green Bay Packer. What are you going to do with it? You got to lead because they want to follow. They need someone to follow. Brandon, it has to be Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I think the question is, Brandon, do you think this is ultimately the right move for them?
No, I did not.
But 5 weeks into the season, the last time this happened was Matt Rule when he started 1-4 with the Panthers in 2022. And we know how much dysfunction is going on with that organization and that owner. I don't know if this looks great for Woody Johnson. Like, you're being that reactionary. You're 2-3, 1 game out of first place. You're about to play the biggest game of the season against the Bills on Monday night at home. I know the spark. Is it going to spark the team? I just don't know if this is the right move. I do want to show you this before I hit you up there, Brandon, on that. Gianna Rossini said this: Jets owner Woody Johnson's decision to fire Robert Saleh might seem surprising, but Johnson views this as a team ready to compete now and wanted to make the move to get things going on the right track before it was too late, per source. I mean, okay.
If that's the case, then you fired the wrong guy, because we can go even deeper into Quincy Williams' comments, and you can look at it and be like, maybe he's not talking about Robert Saleh. Maybe he's saying the offensive coordinator needs to be held accountable, because I don't know how many fans that are watching right now has ever played on a team to where your defense was playing lights out and your offense was trash. When I was playing up in Canada, we had a year where our offense was absolutely terrible. Defense didn't even want to talk to us, because it's like, damn, we got to hold somebody to the 13, 17 points in an NFL game. In an NFL game, we've got to hold, and even less than that, because offense is throwing pick sixes. The accountability comes from who controls the offense, and that's Nathaniel Hackett. I do not feel like the Jets defense respects Nathaniel Hackett, respects his game planning, his calls, or anything. They look at it like, all right, that's Rodgers' offense. He wears the headset and the helmet. Nathaniel Hackett, you're sous chef. You're backup. You're backup chef. So it's gonna things could go well. They can get on track, Ryan, or you're gonna get yourselves a lot of content for Gangs All Here. You and Costello, get ready, because it could really fall apart and become a huge dumpster fire to where guys jump off the boat and start trying to save themselves.
It already feels like it, Brandon, right now. It already feels like it. That's why I question why you're doing this now. Like, if you started 1-4, now granted, I could see this the other side. I'm trying to play it down the middle here because I don't know how to feel about this still. At what point you almost lost the game to the Titans if Will Levis doesn't have an insanely bad fumble, right? As they're about to score another touchdown. You probably would have lost that game. You got blown out by the 49ers on week 1. You lost a horrible game in the rain where it looked like you didn't even know it was going to rain against the Broncos. You look unprepared in that one. And then you go again in London and you go down 17-0. 17-0. And you try to fight and claw your way back. And your coach continues to say, well, I am a silver linings guy, but I'm not going to paint those out for you guys right now because it's still early in the season. It's like, dude, the messaging has to be there as a head coach. You got to acknowledge my team. We're not starting games well. I need to figure that out. You bring out a great point. The penalties. We are number 1 in the NFL in penalties last year. We're up there in top 5 again in penalties again this year. My team continues to start every game slow, week after week after week. My offense, I've had Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, Joe Flacco, Mike White, the Mike effing White shirts. You let that happen. Like, there's so many things under your tenure as a head coach where I can go back to say, this is dysfunctional. This is an issue that goes from you and how your messaging comes across to the team. Are you holding your players accountable? I've said this before, Brandon. I wanted to get your opinion on this. When it comes to the Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson narrative, those guys have gotten off to incredibly slow starts this season. While Garrett Wilson's been targeted a ton in the most in the NFL, the production is not there, right? So there's clearly a chemistry issue between him and Rodgers. But I just wonder, is Salah was he that much of a coach, do you think, where a cheerleader on the sideline, hey, man, it's all good. You dropped that ball, or hey, man, you ran into that blocker. You missed the hole, but it's all good, man. You're super, super talented. We believe in you. We think you're the best. And you're not holding these guys accountable. It's like, hey, man, what'd you see on that play? Because Rodgers was trying to throw you the back fade shoulder pass, and you were running an in-breaking route. Like, where is that accountability? Do you think maybe that is part of that people aren't realizing Robert Saleh? He didn't hold guys accountable. He believed in the talent so much where it's like, I'll accept the stupid penalties. I'll accept the mistakes on the field because you guys are playing 100 miles per hour and you're running through the brick wall just like I want it, but it might not be the smartest way to do it.
You know what we never saw him do on TV, whether in a game or even candid cameras? I never saw him rip into anybody. Never. Brian Dable, as his blood pressure goes up every single game, he's beefing with his coaches, the whole Wink Martindale situation. Why hasn't Nathaniel Hackett and Robert Saleh, why hasn't anything leaked to where those two had heated discussions or heated conversations? So it seems like he's been more of a cheerleader than a coach. I don't know. And he's high motivation guy. Guys love, that's why you're a defensive coordinator. You love your schemes. Run to the ball. Hey, take everybody's head off. You can get a defense going, but you can't get a whole team going like that, just with all the rah-rah. You want to, as a player, because as a player, you're not going to, you can say something to another player, but it's not going to get heated unless it's boiled over. But as a head coach, a player wants to see that. A player wants to see players be held accountable. I remember my time with trying to make the team with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and in the team meeting room, there's a big sign that says the standard is the standard.
Yeah.
I've seen Mike Tomlin call out James Harrison for hitting one of his teammates in practice. He hit Rashard Mendenhall one time, almost took his head off, got after him in front of the entire team. We don't practice like that. That's first round pick. We need that guy. Come on. That's not the standard. I wonder if they ever saw Robert Saleh do something like that. You talked about Bruce Arians going after Tom Brady, holding guys accountable. That's just part of football. You're not my friend. I'm your coach. And maybe I'm still a little bit old school calling him Robert. And Jeff. I still call Coach Coughlin when I see him coach. When I see Jerry Reese, Mr. Reese. I say, Mr. Shane or Coach Dable, I'm older than them cats. You know what I'm saying? So, maybe, it's an antiquated way of thinking or whatever, but you just didn't see the respect there. You just did not see the respect both publicly and when the reports leaked out. You never heard anybody jump on a grenade for Robert Saleh.
No, I mean, the athletic story from Diana Rossini this offseason was extremely damning for Robert Saleh. And you talk about respect, Brandon. Let's talk about Mr. Woody Johnson, who just released a statement here about the firing of Robert Saleh. This morning, I informed Robert Saleh that he will no longer serve as the head coach of the Jets. I thanked him for his hard work these past 3.5 years and wished him and his family well moving forward. This was not an easy decision, but we are not where we should be given our expectations. And I believe now is the best time for us to move in a different direction. Jeff Ulbrich will serve as our interim head coach for the remainder of the season. He's a tough coach who has the respect of the coaches and players on this team. I believe he, along with the coaches on this staff, can get the most out of our talented team and attain the goals we established this offseason. That was owner Woody Johnson right there, Brandon.
Right.
I mean, What more can you say right there?
Ryan. Did we just run over somebody on the bus? Did he just throw somebody under the bus?
These stories write themselves.
There it goes right there. Again, maybe talk to a player or two, talk to a couple guys, because you got to talk to the defensive guys for sure. Are you still rocking with Robert Saleh? You talk to your leadership on the offensive side of the ball, but I guarantee you, just like David Tepper in Carolina last year with Frank Reich, you got the little coaches going up to the ownership, saying a little something. Woody Johnson has been in some people's ears and has gotten his little birdies, to kind of come and chirp into his ears to find out what the freak is going on down there. Because this roster, my meetings with Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, you guys are saying we are built to win now. And then you throw the whole Hassan Riddick situation up in there. That's more of Joe Douglas than Robert Saleh. But it's looking like a complete dumpster fire. And Woody Johnson, Mr. Johnson, has been like, you know what? It's time. We got to do it. I'm going to lose the fan base if we keep going this way. I'm going to lose the players if we keep going this way. And I'm signing checks to win now. I want to win now. So he makes the decision. It makes a hard decision, throws the guy under the bus, but at the same time, he's going to have to answer to the fan base if Nathaniel Hackett can't hack it and turn this thing around offensively.
I mean, those are the damning words right there, Brandon. The respect of the players and the coaches on this team. I mean, that's it. That's it. Maybe that was it. Maybe I think it was, I don't think, I know it's boiling over. And it was that point where Woody Johnson saw enough signs from the coaches and the players. Maybe they're speaking in his ear, like you said. Maybe they're talking to him and saying, I just don't know if this coach has it, man. He's not putting us in the right spot.
It's not like he hopped on his iPhone and wrote it himself either. A PR person wrote that, and he had to be like, hey, throw that in there. You know what I mean? Throw that extra piece of cheese on there. No. They want guac. Throw free guac at Chipotle. Throw that free guac in there so the fan base read this. Here's Dr. Woody talking. This is what's going down. This is why I'm making the decision. Have fun on your Twitters and your Twitter spaces and all that. Have fun with this. I just threw you a oop. Go make content for that. But this is the reason why I'm making this decision, and I'm bringing Jeff in as the interim head coach. The players has the players respect. So you're saying that this man has lost the locker room. He's lost the building. And that's unfortunate because when we went to cover the joint practice between the Jets and Giants, and the Jets looked absolutely great that day. Everybody that I know within that organization, within the building, smiles on their head. It was just lit up like, this is going to be the year, guys. Like the expectation's so high. Fan base, great fan base. The games you watch on CBS, J-E-T, it's crazy. Me and Bart Scott, we MC the draft parties.
Right.
And I'm like trying to get Giants fans. I'm like, yo, these dudes, this fan base is trying to outrile y'all.
We're starved for a winner, Brandon. I mean, this is our opportunity. We had the one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live in Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback. While it may be 40 years old, his arm can still be strong. He could still sling it. But this was your best opportunity considering the pieces that were around him, the talent they put together. And it was very disappointing to see the same old Jets to start slow, lots of penalties, undisciplined. And those are all factors into this equation. Yep. And Woody Johnson has to take that into account. Yep. Other things that people aren't realizing, I think when you think about this Robert Saleh situation, Woody Johnson was the ambassador of UK when his brother hired Robert Saleh. Joe Douglas didn't make this call. This was Woody Johnson's call today. From all reports coming from everyone, Woody Johnson's the one that said, I do not want this guy as my head coach anymore. And he decided to fire him. Brandon, the Rodgers aspect, I don't think we could talk about this enough because Rodgers is going to speak on Pat McAfee, by the way, still today. Looking forward to see what he has to say on 2:30 on his show.
He should not touch that, man.
He has to. I mean, it's going to be the thing they're all going to be talking about. And we want to thank all the fans again. This is the Gangs All Here emergency show. I want to thank Brandon again for giving me his time for doing this because this is the story of the day, clearly, about what's going on. Crazy. But the Rodgers factor. I see all the fans' comments. Rodgers is a cancer. He's a poison. He's not a leader. I don't know, Brandon. Like the man can only do so much offensively, and the offense is struggling. I think his coordinator doesn't help him much because he changes the play so much on the field, right? Like if he doesn't like the play call, he's going to audible it on a line of scrimmage and change it to what he likes. The other parts of the game, Rodgers can't control. You can't motivate these guys to play better. I can't get these guys to start the game better. And undisciplined penalties like false starts and things like that, I can only do so much as a quarterback. I can only hold these guys in check. I don't know, Brandon. Like, do you think this is on Rodgers?
But to call this man a cancer, man, like they were talking about a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. We're talking about a guy that has not Super Bowl, league MVP.
League MVP.
Has a Super Bowl.
4-time league MVP, mind you.
Four-time league MVP. All this noise and chatter about Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams wants to play. He said familiarity. It's either Derek Carr, who just got his ribs broke in yesterday, or Aaron Rodgers. He wants to come play for this guy. We're talking about a top 5 wide receiver. Well, top 5 wide receiver will want to come play with a cancer. We see Sauce Gardner, one of the best defensive players on that team. They got the whole handshake. They talk about how he is the standard when it comes to preparation. How is that a cancer?
Thank you.
How is that a cancer? You are looking Eli Manning. I used to sit next to him in some of the meetings. This dude, you saw that Toyota Highlander he had back in the day. When I used to have to go in to work out 6 a.m.s during that rookie year, Eli's car was already there before 6 a.m. When I'm leaving to go hang out with Aaron Ross, Steve Smith, and those guys, Ahmad Bradshaw, that Toyota Highlander was still there. So that standard is there. How can he be a cancer? Might be a little nutty, may not like the way he carries himself as a quarterback, but dang, the man's got personality. The man walks life, lives life just like everybody else lives life. Just because you're a quarterback don't mean you got to act like you got to stick up your butt the entire time. So I don't necessarily think this is, he's a cancer. But what I'll tell you, Ryan, that statue quarterback, the days of the statue quarterback, that is an extinct animal like the Tasmanian devil. That is on the extinct list. And that statue quarterback, because if we're going to give you all this money, you better be able to play better than a right guard or a left tackle or somebody who can't hold up. You look at Jaden Daniels, and it's going to go to my next point. There was a 4th and something blitz the other day against the Cleveland Browns with the Commanders. Gets out of the pocket, rushes for like 50, 60 yards. This is where football is going now. Your quarterback has to be maybe not mobile, but mobile enough. And that's why I say, Jeff Ulbrich, you could be the interim coach this year. My early Cliff Kingsbury is going to be the next head coach of the New York Football Giants. Watch. Look what he did with a rookie quarterback. Look what he's doing with a rookie quarterback and Jay Daniels. I won't throw speculation all that out right now. I know y'all are still digesting the information and stuff, but that's just off the top of my head. That's what I feel. But no, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is a cancer. I don't feel like when you got the top players on the team vouching for this guy and calling him the standard. So basically what you're saying Sauce and these guys is saying the standard is to be a cancer. And no, I'm going to ride with the players on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just 20-36 is 20-36 as a head coach. You cannot argue that as a record as a head coach. And while you could say we've had the worst quarterback play, you also were there with Joe Douglas and picking Zach Wilson number 2 overall. You didn't see the development come through there. You decided to start him right away when even your offensive coordinator that you fired, your best friend's brother, Mike LaFleur, right? You fired him after the fans were outcrying. This offense stinks. Zach Wilson's not developing. You fired him, and even LaFleur was like, we probably should have started him the first season. I think Robert Saleh, he's a player's coach. He's a rah-rah guy. And while the team's defense, yes, played so well, you kind of have to credit Jeff Ulbrich, who now is the man in charge here. I don't know, man. Like I don't know how long it's going to take me to process this, but you have to turn this around quickly now because you have the Buffalo Bills, a banged up Buffalo Bills, mind you, a team that you can beat. It's a matter of, can you turn it around though, Brandon? Can you turn this season around and prove that this was the right decision from Woody Johnson to fire Robert Saleh?
Yeah, the offense, Defensively, I hope they still hold it together, continue to be the backbone of this team. But this fan base is starving for offense, man. This fan base is starving for a offensive 4 touchdown game. They want to see Garrett Wilson not fumble the ball. They want to see Breece Hall in this offense from a 1st and goal get in and score 6, not 3. So again, the bullseye has now been taken off of Robert Saleh, and now the hunters are aiming at the players now. The Quincy Williams, the Aaron Rodgers, the Garrett Wilsons. It's on the players now. And Aaron, I don't think he should go on Pat McAfee today. You see Devontae Adams not going on K Adams, K in the morning or whatever.
Up and Adams.
Because of what's going on. Right now, I don't need any more noise and chatter around one Jets drive.
It makes you wonder about that relationship, right, between Rodgers and Saleh. It seemed like, and a lot of people were speculating, remember Brandon Thursday night, he shoves the coach and they try to play it off like, that he just not a hugger. I just told him 2-score lead, which he probably did say that, but it was definitely a weird interaction to see on national TV. And then you get the Broncos game. The Broncos game felt like the turning point of the season for at least the relationship for Rodgers and Saleh, where Robert Saleh comes out in the press conference, and mind you, he has not handled press conferences well because I think he is brutally honest to a point where it hurts himself in these pressers.
Yeah.
But he calls out the cadence where he's like, well, we need to probably tame that back. We need to figure that out. That's your best weapon on offense is Aaron Rodgers being able to draw defenses off sides and keep them on their heels a little bit because they don't know when the ball is getting snapped. And when Rodgers speaks to him, well, if that's one way to look at it, what's what Rodgers said. That's one way to look at it. This is a tool that we can use and we can hold our players accountable on our team. That's an indictment on your head coach. That's literally Rodgers saying, I don't think you know what you're talking about here about the cadence. Maybe you should hold your players like a Breece Hall, who had 2 false starts in that game against the Broncos. Hold him accountable. Hold John Simpson, 4th and goal from the 1, false starting on a hard count. Hold him accountable.
But it's how? But how? How as a head coach nowadays? I mean, I just think Joe Judge, remember the Giants head coach Joe Judge making guys run laps. It's like making his coaches run a lap. You get some players. If I'm Quincy Williams or Quinnen Williams, and maybe I jump off sides. You tell me to run a lap, I make $40 million that you run a lap.
No, I know.
So how do you hold these guys?
I don't think it's a push-up thing. I don't think it's a running a lap thing. I think it's holding them accountable in team meetings. Pulling that play up on a video. And maybe Salah was doing this, maybe he wasn't. But I'm going to speculate he probably wasn't, because if Rodgers is saying it and Quincy Williams is saying it, I think there's a common denominator there. Call it out in team meetings going, guys, 6 false starts against the Broncos, 13 penalties for 98 yards. This is unacceptable. Highlight all of those plays. Show them on tape. We cannot have this. You do this, you get benched. You won't even play. I won't play you. It's simple as that.
Again, it goes back to, again, that time I spent with the Steelers. This was practice. Mike Tomlin used to have 3 to 5 plays in front of the entire team. This is the team meeting room. 3 to 5 plays. Plays is what's going to win a Super Bowl. Plays is going to get us beat. And this is we talking about practice. OTAs would lead off team meetings with that, so everyone can see, hey, here's a guy trying to bust his butt to make a roster. Look at this effort on kickoff. Look at him run down and fit between the wedge, in practice. These are things that, hey, this is what's going to get you to make this team, or this is what, or on the flip side, these are going to be the things that's going to get us beat, fellas. Hey, you can't. Hey, I'm just using the name Brian McFadden. You can't be grabbing on that jersey with the ball in the air. These are things you're going to have to call out, because now you're Troy Polamalu. You're these guys. You see this extra effort from a teammate, or you see a lack of effort from a teammate. Now the players police. The head coach, you write legislation. These are the team rules. It's on the players, the leadership, to be the deputies or the sheriffs and enforce the rules and the culture of the head coach. And the fan base, media, players, they just weren't seeing it. And that's why you heard the word accountable so many times. That's a dog whistle. That's a trigger word. When you hear that, hold guys accountable. Oh, hold guys accountable. Man, the accountability starts from the top. These are the players saying it. It's coaching, man.
Yeah, man. I hate some of the media people that are tweeting like, and the fans that are saying like, Rodgers is a cancer, Rodgers is in charge of all this. Like, listen, man, I have no doubts Woody called Rodgers up before he made this move and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. This is what we're going to do. And I'm sure Rodgers will hear my Pat McAfee, whether he supported this. But if I know Aaron, I don't know him personally, but if I know what Aaron Rodgers is going to say, he's going to be, I'm all behind Jeff Ulbrich. We're going to get behind this guy. We're going to be fired up. We're going to get ready to play Monday night against this tough Buffalo Bills team, try to get a first place and try to turn this season around. It's just, man, like I don't know if this is going to be the right move. You got to pray and hope that the Jets can turn this thing around, that Jeff Ulbrich can motivate these guys because the players need to play better.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
While you can prepare better and you could start games better, you as players need to be playing better. There's guys balling out right now. Do not get me wrong. DJ Reed's playing some of the best football of his career right now. Quincy Williams is playing great football. Jamie Sherwood stepping up for CJ Mosley, playing great football. Will McDonald developing into an actual real pass rusher as a first-round pick after had no production at all last year. These are guys that you need to start seeing. Those are guys that are performing well, but now we need to see the others. We need to see Brees. We need to see Garrett. We need to see all these guys to start performing. Brandon, I got to thank you, man, for so much giving all your time talking about this, reacting to this. I'm sure there's going to be more to talk about with this as the day goes on and the weeks goes on, but man, thank you so much for joining me, man.
Hey, Jets fans, man, y'all keep going, man. I know you guys have been going through a lot for a long time. Covering the Giants and stuff. I got a lot of Jets fans and stuff. You guys are still a tremendous fan base, man. You guys really rock for your players. You rock for your team. So it's unfortunate it goes down. Better days are hopefully ahead for you guys, but keep rocking, man, because just the responses in the comments, in the comment section right now, you can see it's a very passionate fan base who they just want to win, man. They just want to win at the end of the day. So thanks for having me on, fellas, or everyone, fellas, fellettes, everybody on.
Thanks, Brandon.
Peace.
All right, that was Brandon London. Brandon's great. You're going to see him. He's been doing a lot of stuff for us in New York Post SNY later today covering this firing. I want to thank all the fans again for joining us here. The gang's all here, emergency show. Give us your thoughts. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. Man, the Jets fire Robert Saleh after a 2-3 start to this season. It was not pretty at all this year. My final thoughts on this, I think the Jets are trying to turn this ship around. The signs were there. They're troubling. That Vikings game was troubling. The Broncos game was troubling and concerning to watch. When you start these games off slow, I cannot emphasize this enough. That falls on the coach. You got to be prepared. And I thought there was a real opportunity in that Broncos game at halftime. You're only down 10-9. How do you make those adjustments? Sean Payton made adjustments. They ran the ball really effectively in the second half. Robert Saleh, what were you doing? What were you doing to help adjust your team? I think Woody Johnson, while this may be a reactionary move, listening to the fans, listening to the Mike Franceses of the world, Joe Beningos, people that wanted to get Robert Saleh fired, I'm a little sad and disheartened that he would listen to that noise, because you're, as an organization, you can't let the fans influence your decisions. They're fans. We're fanatics. While we watch film, we could be passionate about our team and we attend these events and spend money on the franchise. Yes, you are subservient of the fans, but at the same time, you have to hold yourself to a high standard. Hopefully this starts the standard. That's what you're hoping for as Jets fans. Can the Jets turn this season around and start this a high standard that Aaron Rodgers praises, that hopefully Jeff Ulbrich can instill into these guys? Quincy Williams, the accountability comment. This is your accountability now. This is Woody Johnson saying, I'm listening to you, Quincy. I'm listening to you, Aaron. I'm seeing these issues. How am I going to help you guys turn this season around? I'm cutting off the head of the snake right here, and I'm turning it over to Jeff Ulbrich, to Middleton, to Hackett, unfortunately. Let's see what happens, though. Can they turn this around? It's a bold strategy. We'll see if it works. I am interested to see and hear and listen and read more into this as the days go on. Jets fans, Robert Saleh's gone. We're now under the Jeff Ulbrich era. The season, 12 more games to go this year. They are all in. They are all in to try and make the playoffs, and it all starts Monday night against the Buffalo Bills. I'm sure there's going to be news coming out more as we go on here. But I just want to thank all of you for tuning in and watching the Gainesville here Emergency Live Show. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button.